this slide. I'm on the education committee as well. We have the Franklin Elementary Zoo Day coming up on the 28th. I need 10 volunteers from this club. Those of you who have been before know it's a whole lot of fun to be up there with the 6th grade kids from elementary school. There's been there smiling, Julie's been there smiling. Everyone's been there's always smiles about this. It's a lot of fun. This year, each year we have the kids design their own shirts. And this year's shirt, as I say, keep calm and go to Utah's Hogle Zoo. So there's their design for this year. All right, they'll be in bright green this year. So if you'd like to volunteer and come to this, I'd love to have you. My role today is to have the opportunity to tell you a little bit about the Salt Lake City Rotary Foundation. Let me just run through a few facts for you real quick. I'm sorry the slide shows up a little small. I wanted to be kind of quick, so I consolidated. The corpus of our foundation is about $1.42 million. It's grown from 4 years ago. That was under $11 million. So we're making good headway. You might ask, where do we get the money for this foundation? We get it, every one of us on our monthly bill, we pay for some dues that go toward the foundation. And then the other ways that we get it is people provide money to the corpus or just make a donation to the foundation. That's what we do. As you can see, our mission is there. I'm not going to read it for you, but I am going to keep moving. What do we do with the funds? So how many of you were here last week at the scholarship committee, or at the scholarship meeting? Wasn't that spectacular? So you can pat yourselves on the back for that, because the monies that go to those kids for scholarships comes from you all. This year we were able to contribute $27,000 to that program and those scholarships. Those were matched by other funds from anonymous donors and from the LDS Church Foundation, which we're always volunteer on our side here. So many people provide so many wonderful things for these kids. We also provide money to acts of kindness. We also provide money to dictionary projects. We provide money to other organizations that apply and our giving committees, or excuse me, our grant committee approves. So not everyone that applies gets money. We don't have that much money to give, but I will tell you that we've given hundreds of thousands of dollars away in the last few years. And then in the last few years, we've also pushed several hundred thousands of dollars through in the form of this Nepal relief effort. So you'll notice when Scott mentioned a few minutes ago that you write your check to the Salt Lake City Rotary Foundation. How many of you think every Rotary Club has a foundation? You're all right. Okay. There are very few Rotary clubs that have an affiliated foundation. Salt Lake Rotary Foundation operates as a completely separate 501c3 entity. It is not affiliated with our club. We're not connected, but we're connected in that we have the same purpose, and this club provides money to us, so we have an allegiance back. But there is no business connection. Everyone always asks me, well, you have Hale Center Theater. Well, you also have Hale Center Theater Orem, right? I'm like, well, Hale Center Theater Orem, we have nothing to do with them. They're a completely separate entity. It's just like the Salt Lake Foundation, Salt Lake Rotary Foundation. Sure, we share ideas. Sure, we share a few resources every once in a while, but it's a completely separate business, just like yours is. Restaurant is different from someone else's restaurant. So that might help you to understand a little bit about our foundation. It's an exciting opportunity for us to have this foundation. Just this morning, as Scott was saying, I was able to wire funds that were donated just this week. We wired them that fast. People were able to get contributions, or excuse me, tax deductible benefits for making that contribution to our club. So how does this club operate and how does it run? All the members on the board on this foundation are from our club. So they're nominated and they serve certain terms over time. We have a big stack of bylaws that we live by. So currently I get to be the president of the club. Paul Durham is the vice president. Julie Blanche is the secretary, and Christy Walker is our treasurer. The trustees include Marty Banks, Terry Berner, my deputy. He's an ex officio member this year because he's the president of this club. We have Steve Heyer, Laura Hadley, Jeff Higgins, Linda Cruz, Roger McQueen, Greta Spenlove, Pro Wright, and Mike Zuhl. creates our club members. So if all of you wouldn't mind, they put a lot of work in, would you mind giving them a hand? We also have an administrator that we pay on a regular basis. Denise Johnson does a wonderful job administering the funds, keeping track of all the accounting. And our brokerage is with Marcus Johnson and Edward Jones. And we review that on every 3 years. We review brokerage and then our fee process for that to make sure that our pencil's sharp and we're doing the right things for your foundation. Are there any questions about the Salt Lake City Rotary Foundation? I mentioned that first. Our assets are $1.42 million right now. Yeah, that's a great question.
And Brent,
Sophia, yeah,
do you spend 4%, 4.5%?
It depends on the year. Yeah, it depends on the year, and it's a 12 quarter rolling average of the earnings we get. So it all depends on how much we give on a regular basis. But yeah, we abide by the laws of foundations. We have to. That's how we operate. That's what Denise keeps track of. She does a great job with that. So, all right. So now how does this affiliate to our club as well? Let me tell you another thing. How many of you have heard of Richard L. Evans before? I hope everyone's heard of Richard L. Evans. All right. So we have two foundations that you're familiar with. We have the Rotary International Foundation. If you become a donor to that foundation and give a certain amount of money, you will become a Paul Harris Fellow. All right. That is not to be confused with the Salt Lake City Rotary Foundation. When you give a certain amount of money, you become a Richard L. Evans Fellow. So some of you, if you look around the room, will have a badge on that has a gold ring around it. Some of you will look at your badge and it has a blue ring around it. As you give your monthly dues, those will add up, and as soon as you get to $1,000, you'll get a gold badge. Or you can say, I want to supplement that, I want to get a gold badge quicker. So you can write a $1,000 check, or an $820 check, or a $450 check. And you can up yourself to the next level of Richard L. Evans Fellowship. So this year, I'm pleased to announce that we have several more Richard L. Evans Fellows since our beginning of our fiscal year back in July of 2014. So Julie and Paul have come up, like two of our vice president officers. I'd love them to hand these certificates out as we announce their names. If we announce your name, would you please come forward quickly? We want to give as much time as possible going forward. So.
I'll just do it.
So we have John Ashton, who's a Paul Harris Fellow +2. Is John here? There we go. Let's hold our applause till after. Julie, you can shake your own hand. Julie's a Richard. It's actually Paul Harris Fellow. Not Richard L. Evans +2. Julie's Richard L. Evans Fellow. Robert Bowen. Robert here. Yes, he is. Robert Bowen is a now. Don Bradshaw, come on up as well. Don Bradshaw is a Richard L. Evans +3. This is his third time reaching a $1,000 contribution for the club. Carol Browning, welcome to your Richard L. Evans Fellowship. Come on up. Stephen Clark. Stephen, here he comes. Stephen also is a +3. This is amazing. Thank you all for your generosity and for helping to build in the corpus. Bry Davis. Bry, come on up. Peter De La Falsi. Is Peter here? There he is, right there. Justin Deputy. No, there's not Justin here. That's the way so the mics will play. All right. Mike Deputy. Mike's a +11 this year. That's phenomenal. That's fantastic. Francie Gilmore. Is Francie here? +2. Courtney Hatch. Is Courtney? No, I don't see Courtney here. Deborah Hoyt. I didn't see Deborah either. Scott Leckman. +5. Thank you, Scott. You talk the talk and walk the walk. Thanks, my friend. Susie Myelopoulos. Susie's here. That way. Dorothy Smart. I don't see Dorothy here. Paul Stringham. Paul Stringham, Lawrence Thatcher, +5. That's fantastic. Roger Thompson, Clayton's not here, +7, and Pearl +2. Pearl, come on up. I know you're here somewhere. There you are. That's all we have for today. When Pearl gets hers, I would wonder if you would all help me with a wonderful round of applause. Oh, there we go. So thank you for allowing us the opportunity to run this wonderful foundation. I think we're doing great things. If you have any questions or concerns, please do contact. We love your phone calls and love to hear what you have to say. So without further ado, I'm going to announce Roland Raddick. Each year we get an opportunity to do this program, and we bring in wonderful speakers. And Roland suggested that we bring our speaker today, and I'm giving him the opportunity to announce our wonderful speaker, Rick Foster. So here we go.
Yeah, it's my pleasure today to introduce to you Rick Foster. By way of background, I work for Deseret Management. We have a foundation called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Foundation, which receives its funding from the for-profit businesses, KSL, Deseret Book, Deseret News. And so in that line of work, I have the opportunity to work with Rick on the church side of things, and we work together often in coordinating contributions made to this community. And so let me now, if I can get my phone to go back to Rick's bio, introduce Rick Foster. Rick is a Utah native, born and raised in Bountiful. And after serving an LDS mission in Wisconsin, Rick obtained his master's degrees in health services and business administration from the wonderful University of Utah. Today, Rick, his wife Charities, and their children live in West Bountiful, and time with family is Rick's primary passion. Together, they enjoy traveling, boating, and dirt biking. And I asked him, where do you like to go dirt biking? And he said, anywhere where there's dirt. Rick has worked for the LDS Church Welfare Department for the past 19 years. He has served as Director of Administration, Area Welfare Director, Manager of Welfare Square Operations, and now as the Manager of North America Humanitarian Operations. Huge responsibility, I'm sure. Rick interfaces each day with Utah's key service providers in meeting the needs of the homeless, those stricken by food insecurity, and victims of domestic violence and refugees. Please join me in welcoming Rick Foster.
Thank you so much. We'll just try to get ourselves hooked in here. So we've got a few visual aids to make things a little more interesting today. I want to make sure we got a countdown timer here. I don't want to go over in time today. I understand everyone wants to make sure they're out here at the right time, so there we go. Actually, we can bring the lights up for a few minutes here if we could. This is truly an honor for me to be here today and share a few minutes with you, and thank you for allowing me to talk for a few minutes about my passions. As Roland noted, I've worked for the church for about 19 years now. The majority of that time has been spent in welfare services and humanitarian services in the church, and this year is particularly exciting for us at the LDS Church, specifically in our area of humanitarian services. We're celebrating our 30th anniversary of LDS Humanitarian. It was 30 years ago that at the time Prophet Gordon B. Hinckley recognized there was a challenge in Africa. There was a famine in Africa, in East Africa. And the president of our church, President Gordon B. Hinckley, asked all members of our church worldwide, regardless of their economic status, if they would please fast on behalf of our brothers and sisters in Africa, those who were stricken and suffering because of that famine. And as a result of that fast and contributing the money that LDS members throughout the world would have spent on their food that day, they donated all that money to a central fund that was to go and help those individuals in Africa. At that time, they raised $7.5 million for that fast, which was applied directly to the aid and relief of those that were suffering in Africa. Since that time, over the last 30 years, the church has contributed more than $1.5 billion to these kinds of efforts worldwide, lifting up the hands that hang down and those who are oppressed, those who are victims of natural and man-made disasters. And so the church has had a great legacy, and we're very grateful for the contributions of members of the church and members in the community. They're beautiful people just like you. As I hear about the numbers and the contributions that you're making, that's exactly what makes the church welfare program and humanitarian services possible in the church. I wonder if I could just share this brief quote about our purpose in LDS Charities. A member of the church is to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to provide for the widow, to dry up the tear of the orphan, to comfort the afflicted, whether in this church or any other, or in no church at all, wherever he finds them. That was a quote made by Joseph Smith, and it's something that we apply today. All of this humanitarian service, the $1.5 billion that I talked about, is applied to those who are not of our faith. We reach out into the communities wherever we find people who are struggling with food insecurity, with domestic violence, with natural disasters, and we reach out and try to lessen their load a little bit. I wonder if I could take just a minute and talk about some differences between welfare services and humanitarian services. Oftentimes these get a little confused, even for members of the LDS Church, and I thought it may be helpful today to just differentiate between these two organizations or these two lines of work. In welfare services, it focuses primarily on members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We ask on a monthly basis that all members of the church, wherever they reside in the world, so it's about 15 million members now, that they go without a couple of meals, 2 meals on the first Sunday of each month. We ask them that they contribute that money to a central fast offering fund, and those fast offerings are used to bless the lives primarily of members of our church. It provides food, it provides assistance with education and employment, it provides assistance with behavioral health and counseling. It also provides assistance for disasters. Now, the reason I put this on this line is that a lot of times the aid that we're providing in disasters as an organization is going to those who are not members of our church. And then those serving outside the church receive humanitarian aid in the church. So again, the $1.5 billion I talked about goes primarily to those who are not members of our church. There are two primary funds that fund all of the church's welfare operations. They're known as fast offerings, the one I just mentioned. Another that you may be familiar with is a tithe. You may know or may not know that the LDS Church asks that each member of the church pay a 10% tithe on their annual increase. That 10% tithe helps with several of the welfare operations within the church. The humanitarian fund acts exclusively to support our emergency response and humanitarian work. And so any dollar that anyone contributes to the humanitarian fund of the church goes directly to those kinds of efforts. I thought it may be helpful just quickly to pop down through and share with you some of these organizations or kind of the infrastructure within welfare services that allows the church to reach out and meet the needs of the poor and the needy. I'll throw these up here real quick in the interest of time. I'll just let you peruse and read down through those quickly. Not only are these resources used internally, but quite often the church goes out and engages our community partners. I noticed we've got our good friends from the Salvation Army here today. Salvation Army is one of those good friends that the church goes out and partners with. We recognize that the Salvation Army is doing incredible work in Salt Lake City that the church may not be able to do or may not be able to reach the particular population that the Salvation Army does. And so the church will make resources from the bishop storehouses or from the desert industry stores available to our good friends at Salvation Army to ensure that they can reach out and meet those needs that maybe we otherwise couldn't. We do that in so many ways, and I'll talk about that in a moment, how we do that internationally. Got a brief video here I'd like to share with you, and then I'll share a few more words.
This seems to me pure religion and undefiled, as it says in the scriptures. Seeing our brothers and sisters in need and doing something about it.
The church provided us food, hygiene kits, and clothing.
We're reaching out heart to heart and hand and soul to soul.
I give thanks because at that moment they were always by our side. Even though we are not members of that church, we always receive their support.
I think that the manifestation of love that has been expressed in the way the LDS Church has provided assistance, boy, that's a powerful, powerful message.
Our partnership with the LDS Church is absolutely essential for the Red Cross to be able to fulfill its mission every single day. The most critical thing about disaster response is moving large groups of people to the site of a disaster. And there is no one that can mobilize groups of people better than the LDS Church.
We are truly happy to have this kind of help because we didn't have it before. They would have died.
My name is Enrique. When I was 8 months old, I contracted polio. I have been without the use of my legs my whole life. Many disabled people don't have the opportunity to work. I am who I am thanks to my job. My family is able to have a home and food each day.
Over the years, the church has donated many wheelchairs to the Dominican Republic. The church has donated new chairs now to the Dominican Republic called the Rough Rider chairs, and they are much better suited for the terrain, for the sidewalks, for the roads, and it will definitely make a difference in the people's lives.
I climbed in the chair for the first time and tried it out.
Wow, it's me.
It's mine. I couldn't believe it.
When you can offer something that's going to give them that wherewithal, that matters.
One of the foundational principles is that we don't just want to do things for people, but we want to help people help themselves. So everything that we do is designed around building their capacity, helping them be stronger to solve the problem when it comes up next time.
I'm a Tewa Indian. I lived here all my life. It's been a hard life.
The ground is not productive because of the drought.
When I first heard that they were going to bring this project in, I jumped. I want that for my people.
The garden project is such a great blessing to our people here in Kayenta.
I was able to learn how to plant a garden. It's allowing people to see that they can actually be self-sufficient.
Your appreciation for life is seen from a different perspective. And your prayers are different. Your prayers for your children, your prayers for your garden, your prayer for the land and for the rain.
One of the reasons that we do the projects that we do is because of our real sincere commitment to follow the example of Jesus Christ, to relieve suffering in the world and to make life better, because we truly believe these are our brothers and sisters and their lives are connected to our lives, and what we do for each other matters.
Not caring about what religion somebody might be or what political persuasion or ethnicity, if you need help, you're helped. And I'm amazed at every aspect of every life that the LDS Church touches throughout the world.
When I saw him for the first time, I thought he wasn't going to live.
Each day in a hospital, approximately 2 or 3 children need to be resuscitated at birth. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has given us a marvelous contribution by providing courses in neonatal resuscitation. We carry out 2 to 3 training courses each year to train about 10 to 15 doctors, nurses, and medical residents.
We're training trainers, and that group can then teach and train. And so there's a sort of a ripple effect here that little pebble in the pond goes a very long way.
The help and support have been of such great benefit that the infant mortality has significantly decreased in our hospital.
With the help of the Mormons, we have brought these trainings to every part of the country. We really have no way of paying them for all they do.
Every time I come, I see him breathing calmly. I thank God for everything he has given me. For the baby who is making good progress, I thank God.
Prayers are answered most of the time, I think, by God using other people. Well, I pray that he'll use us. I pray that we'll be the answer to people's prayers.
In our country, very few people have water in their homes. They are always affected by cholera, malaria, even typhoid.
There will be many sickness. Clean water means happiness.
Cool, clean water, like the one Charities is providing for the villages, has brought a remarkable changes in their lives. If I could speak for the people of Sierra Leone, I will say a big thank you to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for blessing our lives, for coming to our aid at the most needed time, for saving lives, for saving children who would have died. We appreciate it so much.
LDS Charities is here in Jordan working with local organizations to provide relief for Syrian refugees.
As her family was escaping out of Syria, Nadia was shot in the back. Her dad picked her up in his arms and walked 12 miles to get her help.
الحادث كان أصعب يوم بحياتي. يعني هيك أول ما انصدمت يعني ما عاد عرفت إنه ما عاد يعني أمشي. هلا أنا أملي بالله يعني كبير. بتمنى كمان من اللي عم يشوفوني يساعدوني.
They lost everything. They had nothing but what they wore out. And Nadia, in a very personal way, lost her life as she knew it.
And I could see how very life-changing this was for Nadia. I wanted to wrap my arms around her and love her.
الوقت الحالي يعني بقدر ما استطاعت الإنسان يعني يقدم لواحد إنه بنته مضروبة وشان يرجع الفرحة للبنت يعني.
We recognize the tragedy of the situation that's going on, and we put our arms around them and love them, and that's what they need.
بلاد صعبة هيك بعد ما هيك كانت كل شيء وقاعدة هيك. كمان عم أقول منزل عصامي يعني أملي بالحياة لما.
We all have ringing in our ears Jesus' declaration that inasmuch as you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it unto me. The great commandments are to love.
That video, it doesn't matter how many times I see it, it always evokes quite a bit of emotion. As we see what very small efforts on our part can make such a huge and dramatic difference in people's lives that struggle and had so much taken away from them. I wonder if I could now just shift for a minute and talk about humanitarian and emergency response efforts in the church, specifically some of the things that have transpired during this past year. As I do this, I just want to emphasize our partners, because although I talk about the LDS Church a lot in this video, the reality is that none of what we do happens without our partners. There are so many challenges, so many roadblocks that we run into, whether those are political, whether they're military roadblocks, it may be just a lack of understanding and ignorance about how to help a particular population. It's partners like the ones that you see here that we engage with that allow us to overcome those barriers. So we never do this work alone. We don't do it alone domestically, and we certainly don't do it alone internationally. I just wanted to express appreciation on behalf of the church for these kinds. This certainly isn't an inclusive list, but it just gives an idea of some of those partners that we engage with on a worldwide basis. Very quickly, there are, in 2004, 103 major projects or major emergencies that the church responded to in 54 countries around the world. I can promise you that if an event makes the news, the church is engaged in some way or another. You've already heard about Nepal this morning. Though we don't have a lot of boots on the ground in Nepal, again, we interface with our community partners, we determine what the needs are there, and then we provide whatever resource we can. And a lot of times, in cases like Nepal, it's not that we send over food, it's not that we send over supplies, but we simply send cash. We like to do that in international areas because it spurs the local economy. It engages people that are in the country to essentially pull up their bootstraps and help themselves. Those who haven't been adversely affected are able to reach out and bless the lives of their neighbors. And it's cash that allows us to do that. So a lot of times that's what we'll do. And in the case of Nepal, that's what we have done. Some of the major responses that we responded to last year internationally, they're listed here: the Philippines typhoon, refugees crisis, which is just unprecedented. The highest amount, the highest levels and increases in refugees since post-World War II. It's a massive challenge internationally right now. And we're grateful to be engaged in that work. And then, as we remember last year, the Ebola outbreak, and what a terrifying experience that was, certainly in Africa and throughout the world. I wonder if I could just share a couple thoughts on Typhoon Haiyan that occurred last year in the Philippines. It destroyed more than 1 million homes. Now, just to give you the context of what that looks like, there are about 750,000 households in the state of Utah. So if you figure that every residence throughout the entire state of Utah was completely destroyed, this isn't just a little bit of cosmetic damage, but completely destroyed. That was the effect, the size of this typhoon that hit the Philippines last year. It was fun. Fun maybe isn't the right word, but it was encouraging that the church was able to engage in a variety of ways there in the Philippines. But this was one of my personal favorites, is that we were able to engage in a program where we trained local Filipino people to know how to build and construct homes. And we set a goal for ourselves for about 3,200 homes. And as of May 12th last year, so about 5 months after the hurricane, those 3,200 homes were completed ahead of schedule and under budget. The other more miraculous part of that, though, that I believe, is that there were 650 volunteers who received certificates of carpentry, which allowed them to go out and essentially fish for themselves. This concept of you can give a man a fish to feed him for a day, teach him to fish, and he's fed for a lifetime. The intent with this project was to teach individuals how to actually build and gain that carpentry certificate. So that once the response teams left, they were left with skills and a trade that they could then apply to meet the needs of their family long term. That's one of the underlying tenets or principles of all of the work that we do in welfare services, is not only to relieve suffering and help people, but as we do that, to instill self-reliance in those people. So whenever we can, we don't want to engender dependence. We want to engender self-reliance. And so that's exactly what we tried to do. As part of one of our projects here in the Philippines, we tried to do. I'll just quickly hop through a couple of additional slides here in the interest of time. There are what we call some major initiatives that the church engages in worldwide. And these were some of these major initiatives, how many people were affected and in how many countries. I'll just pop these slides up quickly. Neonatal resuscitation, vision treatment, food initiatives. This is where we go in and we teach families how to garden, how to raise gardens, and then sell the food off those gardens. Immunization impacts so many people, literally millions of people. This is another one that I love because for such a small amount of money, typically about 50 cents to $1 per child, you're able to provide that inoculation and provide a barrier against those life-debilitating illnesses that they may otherwise be exposed to. Clean water and wheelchairs. You saw both of these in the video. Just wondered if I could talk for a moment about what happens here locally. The church isn't just about doing all this work halfway around the world in Africa and Asia and the Philippines, but we do a lot of work right here domestically and certainly right here in the Salt Lake Valley. We have all kinds of needs right here. On a yearly basis, we receive about 1,000 refugees from refugee camps around the world that end up on our shores or in our city here. We work closely with IRC, with Catholic Community Services, to provide them the resources that they need to meet the needs of these refugees who are coming into our community. Again, we can't do this work alone, and we're so grateful for our partners in the community that are able to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Church can provide volunteers from time to time, cash and maybe resources, but there's certain levels of expertise that we look to these community partners for, and we're grateful for them. Wonder if at this point we might just take a few questions. If you have any that we might be able to respond to. Yes, sir.
What type of items do you guys distribute from your storehouse?
Thank you. From the storehouses, it's primarily food items, but we also have several personal hygiene items, shampoo, soap, razors, those kinds of items. We have household cleaning items. And then in a few of our strategically placed storehouses around the country, we have some emergency response items, sleeping bags, tents, generators, chainsaws, wheelbarrows, that we make available to the community when disasters occur. Yes, sir.
What transportation resources do you have within the charity, I mean, to move the
Thank you, that's a great question. So you probably noticed that we have several storehouses, canneries, and farms. The question was, what transportation resources does the church have available to them to move resources from our farms to our canneries to our storehouses? And the answer is Deseret Transportation, which is a full service trucking fleet. They have about 50 tractors with or semi trucks with about 150, 110, trailers of all sizes, varieties. We have milk tank trucks that bring the milk from our dairy up to our milk plant. Certainly a regular reefer, grain trucks, virtually anything you can imagine to help facilitate that movement of product around the country. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just...
Okay, fantastic. Yes, sir.
Some years ago, I had the opportunity of doing some humanitarian work in Peru with Rotary, the Rotary Foundation there. And we had ordered about 50 wheelchairs, and they got tied up in the port of Peru. So we went to the LDS church and they loaned us 50 wheelchairs. And the Rotary took the wheelchairs and we got to the church, and that saved the project for us.
Thank you. Again, partners working together hand in hand. There are so many times when we want to get something into a country and we can't, and we have to turn to our good friends IRD or Islamic Relief or United Muslims to help facilitate that, because it's challenging at times to get products where they need to be. Thank you. Is there another? Yes, sir.
Just a couple comments. One thing you did mention, I wanted to acknowledge LDS Charities for giving $4 million to the Gavi Alliance, Global Vaccine Alliance.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for that.
You're very
and
welcome.
Also the neonatal resuscitation training. It's simple and straightforward, but makes such a huge difference. People, attending births, mothers, there's a lot of ignorance, and just providing that basic education saves lots of lives. So
and the death rate among these young newborns is so high, and you're right, it's so simple to provide that training, and it saves so many lives every year. Thank you for your comment. Was there another question on this side? Yes, sir.
What can you tell us about the new Bishop Storehouse?
The Bishop Central Storehouse? Thank you. So just about 2 years ago, we dedicated a new Bishop Central Storehouse, which becomes a central hub for all of our storehouse distribution. It's exceptionally large. It's about 600,000 square feet under one roof. We've got another 400,000 or 500,000 square foot facility across the way. And everything that we produce comes into that facility and then gets distributed out to the 110 storehouses that we have here domestically. So it's a large, beautiful, state-of-the-art, built for a 2,500-year event earthquake. So essentially a 7.0 earthquake. It'll handle that nicely. It's out just to the south of the airport, out by the what's that called out there? The International Center, right across from the large R.C. Willey storehouse, or not storehouse, but facility out there. Thank you, Mark. 5600 West. Thank you. Yes, sir. In the very back. I wish I had that map, the map of it. I can't, I don't know the actual like geographic footprint. I don't know that. I'm sorry. Any others? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to reiterate the partnership aspect with the American Red Cross and all these charities. It's been amazing, especially in the last year. I want to thank you.
Absolutely. We're so grateful. This last year, we had a movie that came out called Meet the Mormons, and we took all the proceeds from that film and donated to our good friends at the Red Cross. And it's been a fabulous relationship. With the Red Cross, we entered a nice relationship with them with a memo of understanding that they can use our meeting houses for their blood drives, that they can use our meeting houses for shelters when necessary. And then certainly we're always cooperating on our volunteers and providing resource out of our mission storehouses when disasters occur. Any other questions? Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Well, that's one dynamic individual. By the way,